UFC 311 took place this weekend, Babu. It was the first pay-per-view of the year. We saw Islam Makhachev defending his title against a very, 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 very short notice replacement in Renato Moicano, as well as Merab Dvalishvili defending his title in the Bantamweight division against Umar Nurmagomedov, and that was one of the greatest fights on the fight card for sure. So we're going to recap this fight and also who we think that these opponents are going to be fighting next as they progress throughout the year of 2025. Myself and Babu are going to give you guys this recap up next in Fighting with Friends. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Gaia, and Babu, back again with another recap. Babu, how's it going?
Yo, not too bad, not too bad. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling fantastic, bro. I'm so excited for this year. So excited to see that the fights so far have been nothing short of phenomenal. Obviously, we've had unfortunate things happening in some of the good fights. We were obviously looking forward to the Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. Unfortunately, Arman Tsarukyan took a bad injury to his back. And so how it's been lighting up on the internet so far. People are taking an absolute piss out of Arman Tsarukyan because of what had happened against with him and Nino Drama when he was showing some of those warm-up techniques. Did you see that video? It was, and everyone's like, oh, what's happening to this guy? He completely damaged his back because of that one thing. And I was still looking at that video with Tyler, and I was thinking, yo, this dude is doing something really interesting here. It can really open up your mobility of your hips and back, but it also is very risky doing stuff like that, But I don't want to say that's the reason why he got hurt. We don't know. We just know his back was what went out. And to my disappointment, it was very sad to hear that news because I was looking forward to that fight. I did believe that the one person that could actually beat Islam Makhachev was Arman Tsarukyan. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but we did get Manny Moicano, and he took it with open arms. Came up short, unfortunately. Got tapped out by the famous Darce choke of Islam Makhachev. But up until then, it was a little bit of a competitive fight. I did like what Manny Moicano was doing. He was standing up really well. He actually had Makhachev rethinking about how he needs to enter the void when he goes up against Manny Moicano. Because Manny Moicano is actually quite tall. I was surprised to see how much bigger he was than Makhachev. But the fight didn't last very long before Islam just dominated him. Babu, give us your thoughts on this main event and what do you make of the late replacement?
Shout out to Moicano. Like, he's ranked, I think, 10th in the UFC at the moment in the lightweight division. We saw what happened with Khalil Roundtree. Like, when you enter such a late fight, like if you can put on like a banging performance, your name starts being circulated in the media a bit more. And even though you might take a loss, like you'll be known as like one of the contenders in the division. Unfortunate for Moicano that he just came against literally the pound for pound number one. I think after this performance and just even leading up to like the fight itself with Arman Tsarukyan, just seeing a lot of ex-fighters or people that have trained with Islam Makhachev, like they say like he's the one. His stand up is there, his ground game is there, and his jiu-jitsu is legit. And one of the things that really shocked me was I watched Mighty Mouse's
interview with him.
Interview with him, and Mighty Mouse being a legit black belt. Somebody that trains jiu-jitsu like consistently, wants to enter a jiu-jitsu competition in this phase of his career. And he says like that Darce choke of Islam is lethal. And for somebody to catch you twice with the same submission and then still give you commentary before he locks it up is special. And I mean, a brilliant performance from Islam. I think like this cements him as the true pound for pound number one. I think if people had any doubt before, like he showed you, like the 10th ranked person in his division came up against him and he took him out in the first round. He was like, hey, this is a late replacement. I didn't have time to game plan anything. So we basically going in there and we're scrapping. And I'm sure Moicano had a bit more data than what Islam had in terms of like how he's going to enter this fight and whatever. But for Islam just to negate that and just take him to the ground and then put in that lethal Darce choke, you just knew like, oh, done. And shout out to Moicano. I think even his post fight like was commendable. He said like, hey, I've been working for this. Like there's no excuses. It is what it is. And I think it's just back to the drawing board for him. But Islam Makhachev, I don't know what's next for him. I would like to see the Charles rematch. I don't know. How are you feeling there, brother?
Excuse me. So before we move on to that next question about what's next, there is something that I want to bring up, and I'm sure there's a number of fight enthusiasts and fans that have noticed this, but maybe not talking about it as much as they think they do. Because whenever I do bring it up in conversation with some of the guys, it's almost like it's like a brush over point, because it's not something I put too much stock into, because nothing has changed, and I can understand that. But something I did notice with even when Khabib was fighting is it's no truth that their takedowns or their wrestling is by far the most superior, right? No one comes close. There's no jiu-jitsu guy. Charles is probably one of the best jiu-jitsu guys we've seen in the UFC. He doesn't even come close to the wrestling prowess of the Dagestani guys, right? Especially at the Khabib's camp. So there's no denying that when they take you down, you're just gonna have a very difficult time winning the fight back from there. But what I do notice is whenever they're standing, there's also no secret that these guys are not the most competent strikers. This Islam Makhachev is evolved in his striking. He boxes really outboxed Dustin Poirier, right? But I think for that reason, for that outcome to be that way, you will notice that a lot of fantastic strikers are so overly concerned about the wrestling of these Dagestani guys that they don't strike the same way they usually strike. Dustin Poirier did not at all box the way he normally boxes in that fight, and that's because Islam's style made him have to rethink about the way he boxes. Same with Cody Sandhagen when he fought Umar Nurmagomedov. He did not at all strike the way he would strike against any other fighter he's ever fought in his career. So they fight very differently. Justin Gaethje did prove something to me when he fought Khabib the first time, when they did fight each other, is that when you do get the upper hand on them, when you're striking against them, they do tend to have this panic look on their faces, and then they rush for that takedowns. They almost like they have no choice now, because they start to realize, I cannot get kicked by this bra again, or I can't get punched by this bra again. I have no choice but to take him down. He can't wrestle the way I wrestle. I'm going to take him down and beat him there, which is the results which we've seen for all their fights, right? We've seen this all the time. Even this fight against Renato Moicano and Islam Makhachev, as long as they were standing in that fight, I don't care if people said it wasn't a knockdown or not, when Islam slipped or he didn't slip. That didn't matter to me. What was really important for me is what was Islam's face and what was his body language like while they were standing. He looked so uncomfortable. He wasn't comfortable by the length of Renato. He was fighting with the back foot. Renato body kicked him so hard a few times that it made him rethink about how he had to fight. And that's why when he did shoot, the shot comes from so far, and they like maul you. He just comes forward. So what I'm trying to point out is for fight fans to think about is, if there's a way to beat these guys, I think it would be not to try and match them wrestling for wrestling, like what the Merab does, where we just out wrestle them back. I think a key victory that people can deploy to beat this kind of style is to don't try and offensive wrestle against them. Just try to be extremely good at defensive wrestling. So sprawl until your life depends on it. Get back up to your feet and keep the fight on the stand up, and force Umar Nurmagomedov, force these guys to stay boxing with you all the time. Because as long as you're going to keep boxing with him, you're giving yourself a chance to beat him. But as soon as you allow the wrestling game to stay wrestling, you're probably not going to win the fight. You're probably going to lose it 9 times out of 10. So my point is, there are telling signs when these fighters look very uncomfortable. They get tired also after the third round. So there are signs that you can take out of these fights and be like, listen, we can actually beat these guys. Now, that being said, let's talk about what's going to happen next, or what we think should happen next. Islam Makhachev, fortunately and unfortunately, has lapped. He's almost wiped out his division, right? If we look at the top guys in the division, he's beaten all of them essentially. And we also now know everyone else outside of that top 5, they just don't cut it, right? So the question would be, Islam Makhachev is 33 years old. What does he do, and who does he fight next? I know that he wants to maintain the lightweight division. He keeps saying that he wants to stay there. I'm not sure if he did make a small little piece of emotion where you were saying that he might go up to fight welterweight or possibly middleweight, but he feels like that's a bit too far of a stretch in middleweight. It's a bit too, and light heavyweight, it's a bit too far for him to get to. So that just leaves the welterweight division essentially. Do you think that Islam must go up to fight welterweight, or should he still defend again in this division? Because the UFC has made the announcement that they're not going to give the fight to Arman Tsarukyan next. So what do you think should happen?
From my understanding, watching his post presser, it seems like he's a bit. I think he's like in the right, but I think his mindset is correct. I think he said like, if anybody wants to fight me, come down to my weight class, and I think he will. I think like there's maybe 2 more defenses in him, and then move. I think he will start looking at the money fights per se.
Yes.
I think then, because they asked him about the Ilia Topuria fight, and he was like, it doesn't make sense to me, because I don't think like he looks at Ilia Topuria as somebody that's really credentialed in terms of name wise. I don't think he can pull. I don't think if he goes into that negotiation, he can say, okay, pay me 2 million to fight this guy, and they're gonna be like, oh, we don't want that fight as much as you think we do, so they're not gonna pay him. So I think you will probably defend like maybe 2 more times in the lightweight, and then I think you will look up at welterweight, because something that he said in the post presser, one of the goals that he wants to accomplish is a second belt. He doesn't know if it's going up for a second belt or going down for a second belt, but he wants to get the second belt, and I think that's the drive behind him. That's like the end goal. So I think he will give it a shot. When he gives it a shot, I'm not sure. I think he will look at the welterweight division. I think it's better to go up for him. But it also depends on like who's champion in that welterweight division. Because I don't think he wants to pull Shavkat or Bilal Muhammad, like wrestling dominant like fighters. I think like if by any slight chance Ian Gary or Leon Edwards or Kamaru, maybe Kamaru Usman or Jack Taylor go get into that champion bracket, then you'll try and rush it, and because he knows like Kamaru is on the back end of his career. Like I don't think that same Kamaru Usman is there, so you'll have the wrestling advantage against all the fighters that I've just named. But I think like Bilal Muhammad and Shavkat currently, like they in that perfect prime position where their conditioning is as good and their wrestling understanding is as good. And I think Bilal Muhammad has trained with Khabib's team already, so he has a bit of insight of what they go through. So I don't think Islam will rush it. But in terms of like what's next for Islam, I think either Charles or he sits out for a bit and they see if Tsarukyan against somebody in that top 10. I know
Islam. Did Islam fight? Did Islam fight Justin Gaethje?
I think he did.
Don't think he did. Something is telling me that.
No, he didn't fight Justin Gaethje actually.
That's the only fighter in the top 5 that he didn't fight.
No, he's fought Poirier, and he fought Charles. He's fought Hooker as well.
He's fought Hooker, but he didn't fight. He didn't fight Arman and he didn't fight Gaethje. Those are the only 2 fighters that he didn't fight.
No, he fought Arman already. He beat Arman.
Oh yes, he beat Arman. That was Arman's debut. So he beat all those guys. He just didn't fight Gaethje. And Gaethje's gonna fight against Dan Hooker next. Okay, and we know that Shavkat and Bilal's gonna be the next fight for them. We know that Leon Edwards is gonna fight against Jack Della Maddalena next. Who's Kamaru Usman fighting next? Joaquin Buckley.
I don't know. I don't think they.
Sean Brady. But anyway, I don't think that Islam's gonna go up against Bilal or Shavkat just because Bilal is his brah. That's probably why you were saying he doesn't know when he's going to do double status, but he wants to do double status. I don't think he's probably waiting for Leon Edwards to either lose or move on from that division for him to go and say, listen, let me fight there. I don't think he beats Shavkat. I think he can beat Bilal Muhammad, but he doesn't want to fight him. I know that Renato Moicano said that he's probably not going to fight for a title again. He's only 35 years old now. He's not sure if he's going to get it again. But I feel like as much as he said that this was a fight where he's been preparing his whole life for it, it is still a massive change to go up against someone when you've been camping for someone else and you've been game planning and camping for a particular fighter and style. And I don't care if you are still fit to fight both fighters. It's still a different ballgame when you're game planning for somebody for 8 weeks. It's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Because even Islam, because he said I only watched one tape on Moicano, and that was the day before the fight, night of the fight. So it was like, even for him, he just had to go in there, and that's why he probably wrestled so quickly, because he's like, I didn't game plan this, bro. I'm not going to stand with him the whole time. So I'm not sure what his buzz is, which is probably why it went like that. So for Moicano, he must hold his head up high, and he must fight Beneil Dariush next, beat him, maybe get someone like a Dan Hooker or Max Holloway, you know, to stay in that top 5 division of the lightweight division and have another run, because I don't think his time is up, to be honest with you. I think Moicano he lost to the best of the best. It doesn't mean you're done. You know what I mean? I do think if Moicano gets another win or two and then probably gets Islam again in game plan, the fight will probably look a little bit more competitive than what it did. I don't know if he wins, but he'll probably make it a bit more competitive. But anyway,
also,
that's on the comments. Eh?
In that division, I think from 8 to 15, like you have the short road, bro. You can just fight once, have a spectacular finish, and then you can call your shot, bro. Because he's already like fought everybody from 7 to 1, and he's beaten them. So like you sitting at like number 9, you can say like, hey, he's beaten everybody in the top 5. I should be next, like, you know, or why should I audition if this man's just gonna sit on the sidelines? So you can make a good run.
His future is bright, bro. I think he's got a run going. I'm quite stoked for him to keep going at it and not say that this could be his last title run. I think he can still do it. And like you said, it's a very good point in that division. Anyone in that top 15 is one win away of basically saying, I'm in the top 5 now. Give me that shot, kind of thing. So let us know in the comments, please, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is next for the two fighters that took place in the main event? For now, myself and Babu are going to move on to the co-main event where we saw Merab Dvalishvili beating Umar Nurmagomedov in a 5-round decision, winning 3 rounds to 2. One judge gave it 4 rounds to Merab instead of 3, which I kind of thought was a bit weird, because it was competitive, but I did believe that Merab won the fight fair and square. I did believe also that literally towards the end of the round 2, I was like, something looks different here. I was watching it with AD, and at the end of that second round, or towards the end of the second round, I was telling myself, I don't think Umar has got it in him to go further than this, eh? And the AD was like, let's see what happens. And I was like, nah, I think Umar is tanked here. He's got the style to beat a lot of fighters, but I think Merab's style just depletes you, because Merab just goes faster and faster and faster as the rounds go on, and then the opponents just get slower and slower, which is just like a losing battle from there. And that's what we saw in this fight. Definitely a contender for fight of the night. I wouldn't have made it fight of the night, but definitely a contender for fight of the night, because it was super, super, super high level from the first minute. So Babu, give us your thoughts, because the fan base is obviously raving about this victory because they want to see the Nurmagomedov team lose. Give us your thoughts about this one.
I think Merab is like one of the few times that you will see like somebody live up to that nickname moniker.
Yeah,
like the machine. Like if you had to give him a nickname, that would be it. After that performance, makes sense. Like it's very rare that you see fighters come out and they have like some random ass nickname, and then you like the Butcher. Okay, I expect a bloody fight, and then it's not, and then you're like, okay, never mind. This man is really the machine. But I think it's a forgotten art of a wrestling background fighter, of how much your cardio can be used as an offensive weapon. I watching the fight, that first 2 rounds, I was like, yo, hey, this man, Umar Nurmagomedov, his kickboxing is really on point. The way he floats in and out of the void. Every time Merab like tries to get near him, he's throwing kicks from awkward angles. Basically, like Umar's hip dexterity is crazy, because he throws kicks from like hella close and it lands. But something that you don't see often is Merab Dvalishvili. Like he is the machine. He's tough as nails. I don't think there's anything special to him in terms of like anything that he will do will surprise you besides his cardio. He's just a hard worker. He's gonna grind you out. He's gonna use his conditioning as an offensive weapon. He's gonna weigh on you. You're not gonna knock him down. You're not going to like see him take a back step, especially when if you stun him. I think Sean O'Malley stunned him, and Merab's instinct is go forward, and I think you just need one punch knockout. Literally, you need to either be able to hit the hit him on the button where he's out cold, because you can't stun him. If you stun him, he's gonna move forward. He's gonna just wrestle you, and he's gonna just weigh on you. And as you saw in this fight, like Umar comes out of the Khabib camp, the wrestling camp, and I think it's one point in the third where Merab's just standing there, hands up, talking to the commentary team.
Yes.
And Umar's trying to get him down to the ground, but his balance is so good and his hips is so strong that he's like just negating it. He's like, oh yeah, this is cool. Look at this man. Look at him. He's trying. Oh, he's so cute.
And sad, bro.
He's just a funny guy, man. He's
the best.
Funny guy.
He's the best. He's my favorite fighter, so one of my favorite fighters to watch these days. I like that he brought that point up, Babu, because it was a very compelling performance from Merab, and I also felt that, to what you're saying, that was a turning moment that kind of confirmed what I was feeling after round 2. Because I think at the end of round 2, when they went back to the corners, Khabib was telling Umar, I don't want you to strike with him anymore. From the moment from this round onwards, you need to out wrestle him, wrestle and only wrestle from round 3. And Umar couldn't even land a shot in terms of a wrestling shot. He didn't even shoot for even when he tried to shoot for something. Like you said, Merab just like didn't allow him to get it. He was just like, this is not going to work. There was a moment where Umar actually had a full body lock around Merab's hips now, but Merab was facing Khabib. He was looking at Khabib and he was doing this to Khabib. He was like chanting him on, like, come, show me what you guys got. While Umar is literally trying to get this man down, and he's just like standing there thinking, look at what your fighter's trying to do here. You can't even pull me to the ground, and I'm standing dead still. Like that's when I noticed there's nothing for this dude. Merab is the absolute king in this division, and honestly, it makes me feel like. Also, one thing I before I move on to the next question, the major thing about Merab that I thought was brilliant was his ability to level up his striking as well. Because what he did really well was he noticed that Umar Nurmagomedov has a very ugly tendency to, when he's defending strikes, he goes to his left. So when he defends, when someone comes forward with a strike or a kick, he will lift up his left hand, or his right hand, excuse me, but he will dip to his left. And then Merab was like, okay, I'm going to come and shoot for a takedown, but I'm actually going to throw an overhand right to your left every single time. And it landed on that man's spit. I was like, look here, he's got this dude thinking twice about defending now. Merab really, like, he leveled up that part of his game. And I think that's all credit to Coach John Hood. Coach John Hood wasn't in his corner up until when he fought against Sugar Sean O'Malley. And that's when he got John Hood into his corner. And John Hood is a fantastic coach. So that's for me was a big level up for Merab. Now the real question is, Babu, and for all the audience members out there, is what's next for Merab Dvalishvili? Because John Anik immediately said at the end of the fight, let's get a rematch. And I don't quite believe that they should get a rematch, to be quite honest. I don't think it's because I think the reason why John Anik said that is because of the styles of wrestling. They believe firmly that the Nurmagomedov and Merab are far beats every single person in this division. And no one can come close to actually competing with their wrestling. Do you agree with that same sentiment? Do you think it should be a rematch because of that reason? Or do you think that Merab should actually get a different opponent?
I think, like, for both fighters, like, there's 30 fighters in the division and within the top 6 that I think will be exciting fights from a neutral perspective. Peter Yan, I know they fought already. Merab decisioned him. It wasn't a dominant Merab performance. Peter Yan's last performance shows you that he can match you on the feet, on the ground, jiu-jitsu.
He's changed.
Meet me. Davison Figueiredo, I think he has KO power. So that is something that will scare anybody. Whether they put Davison because he's coming off a loss against Umar or puts him against Merab, but I don't think he'll get the Merab shot. But if you put him against Umar. I think Davison has too much power for Umar, and he KOs him. Like stuff as a board. And then Marlon Chito Vera, it depends on his mindset. If we get the old Marlon, then I think I think Chito will be a good matchup for both fighters because he has decent power, enough to put you on the back foot. He can stop a shot, and he can match you on a cardio's like platform, especially with Merab. He can go the full 25 minutes. 25, I think those three fighters is the fighters that I would look at for either of the two men before us. So I think that would be exciting fights. I really don't want to see a rematch. I think Merab from 3 to 5 showed absolute dominance over Umar. And
dominated him.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing at the fourth, man.
Yeah.
When you're shooting a takedown and like the other man is not even defending properly.
Yeah.
He's not even sprawling. You don't even have underhooks on you. He's
not even looking at you.
Hips.
He's not even looking at you, bro. He's looking at other people. He's talking to the crowd and
it's embarrassing in that sense.
Babu, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think, let me throw you another one and give me your thoughts on this one. Right, so no rematch is what we're agreeing on, right? So that would mean that it's basically a round robin from there. So Merab is chilling. We have Sugar Sean, Umar Nurmagomedov, Peter Yan, Cody Sangan, Tevson Guerrero, Marlon Chito, Henry Cejudo's taking on Song Yadong, right? So let's say Henry wins that fight, and that puts Henry now back into that group of the top 6 going upwards. Any one of those guys can fight each other and potentially give a shot for a title shot, right? I think that's probably what's going to happen. But then this is what I think would be the best fight next. Is champ versus champ, Ilia Topuria versus Merab Dvalishvili. And the winner of that fight, Merab will probably going to stay in that division. I don't think he'll probably want to go up to featherweight. I think Merab would either dominate bantamweight or flyweight. But the winner between Merab and Ilia Topuria would then have a crack at that lightweight title. But I don't think Merab wants to go up against Islam Makhachev.
I don't think he wants to fight Ilya just because Sterling's in that division.
But Sterling lost his last fight.
Yeah, but I think like just from a friend to friend basis, he's not gonna go up to fight Topuria.
I think that's the reason.
He's like, oh yeah, bro, this one sat at number 1 for like 4 years while Sterling was champion.
Yeah, but that's a different dynamic, man. That's when while Sterling was Sterling. I don't think Sterling can get a title anytime soon. I think this might be his last. He lost to Ivloev. You know what I mean? I don't think that Sterling can actually climb that featherweight rankings any further than this, to be honest with you. I think all those guys give him a moosey beating. But Ryan Ortega, Eddie Rodriguez, Diego Lopez, Max Holloway, Volkanovski, they all moved Aljamain Sterling. I don't think he can make a crack at that title. So the dynamic is very different from what it was like when he was still in bantamweight. You know what I mean?
I know. I just think Merab is one of that people. He's just one of that people that is loyal to a fault. Like even when Sterling was champion, we all knew Merab would take Sterling out. He's the better fighter.
Yeah.
But like he's just one of that people that's loyal to a fault. I think just because Sterling is in that division, he's gonna be because if he wins the Topuria fight, that has to set up Sterling Merab.
I can't. I don't agree with that. I
understand.
Sterling's career. Nah, but listen to this quickly.
Hardcore, yeah, man.
Aljamain Sterling is ranked number 9 in the featherweight, right? His record in the featherweight division is 1-1. Right? Beat Calvin Keita, who isn't even in the top 10 anymore. I think he's outside of the top 10 now. And then he's number 10. Look there. So you beat the bra that's ranked below him just by 1. And then he lost to Ivloev, right? That for me is not a good thing. And let's just put that side by side with Davison Figueiredo, who also went up a weight, and he only lost 1 fight so far, and he's fought 4 times in that division. You know what I mean? And he still hasn't made the top 5 yet. Aljamain Sterling, he's also older. He's almost on that long. He's 35 or 36 years old now, so it's almost like I don't quite believe that he actually can make that top 5. And even if he makes the top 5, he will still have to fight again to actually make a title challenge. And anyone in the top 5, they completely beats him. I don't think he wins any of those guys in the top 5, to be quite honest. I don't see it.
From your perspective as a fan of MMA, I would say, you know what? Like, you are on the money. As the UFC, bros, where storylines are built, bro, I don't think there's sometimes like you see it with Alex Pereira, he got fast track. You see it with I think it was Gilbert Burns. Yes, Gilbert Burns wasn't a team, but they were like, oh, this is former teammates. This is gonna sell pay-per-views. This is gonna be this is the storyline outside of like, yo, we can sell this to the neutral. Like, these guys used to train together. Now he's the champion. He's the contender.
So I want to work with him.
I think Sterling wins one. If Merab does fight Topuria, Sterling wins one. And then Merab is champion. They're going to ask Sterling, look here, do you want to fight? I think Sterling's selfish enough to say, yeah. He looks like somebody that gives off main character energy with side character skills. But, you know, I think he would say, yeah, he wants to fight. And then from there, the UFC just paints a bad narrative of the fight. They're going to put the two fighters in like some sort of controversial situation where like one of them will get pushed. And then from there, they just sell it, bro. John Jones, DC.
I don't know. I don't know if that would work. Firstly, I don't think Merab would allow that to happen. Because, I mean, he had the chance to do it for 4 years and he didn't do it. Also, Aljamain Sterling...
When they asked him, because now the ball's on the other foot, they would ask Sterling, do you want to fight Merab? And I think he would say yes. Before it was, Merab, do you want to fight Sterling? And Merab was like, nah, that's my brother. I'm not going to fight him.
You see, that whole thing was weird for me. That whole thing was weird because the option shouldn't even been asked. You are the rightful guy. This is supposed to be your next fight. You know what I mean? And Sterling also shouldn't have made it also like, oh, it's my friend. Because he also played a role to play in that. The thing about Aljamain Sterling is he's not actually the UFC's poster boy for anything. He's never been, even when he was a champion. They never ever considered Aljamain Sterling to be any type of thing. So they never really catered to whatever he asked for. That's why he hasn't gotten any high-profile fights, even when he got into featherweight. Whereas which I thought was very bogus because he's the former champion and now he's like going to a new division. When Max Holloway moved to different new divisions, he only got championship fights. When they moved the WC into the next new division, Max Holloway.
No, Sterling's cack. The other fighters that you named is Huyas. They never got
that's what I'm saying.
Title win. That's
what I'm saying. That's why I don't think Aljamain Sterling will get that privilege from the UFC to fight up the card and make a title run. He won't get it. The UFC never catered to him. They moved into a new division and they still didn't cater to him there. If he was really such a big fighter where they can actually move storylines around the way you're describing it, then they would have done that with him in this division already. But they didn't. If I was the UFC and he was and he could have been a cash cow like that, I wouldn't have given him Calvin Kattar or Yves Louis. I would have given him someone like Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett immediately. Beat one of these two guys, you're in the top 5. You are the former champion. You're only 37, 36 years old. When you got 4 to 5 fights left, that's only 2 years of fight time. So it's like, let's start moving your career into a position where you can still get something out before you retire. UFC was like, fuck no. Which is a sign to me that they don't care about this man. They don't want to make his career go any further than what it is. They forced him to actually put on powerful wins to get somewhere. That's not the case. I don't think Aljo makes top 5 in the featherweight division. His career is going to stay exactly where it is right now, which is why I do believe Topuria is the next matchup for him because those are the two best guys at the moment in the two small divisions. Makes the most sense. Topuria doesn't want to fight anyone else in the featherweight. I don't know why he's dodging all the other guys. He's not calling about Volkanovski. He doesn't want a Max Holloway rematch. Puts that to bed. Diego Lopez is fighting against. He might get Volkanovski next. Diego Lopez and Volkanovski. That leaves Yves Louis, Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, who we all know is probably not going to beat Ilia Topuria. So it's like, who does Ilia Topuria fight next? That's why he keeps shouting about Islam Makhachev. I personally feel like leave Islam Makhachev. That's too far to reach. And go up against the guy who's literally the next weight that's just below you. Merab Dvalishvili. That's the best guy. Right now, I don't think anyone beats him.
So I don't think anybody beats Merab at the moment.
Yeah,
I think he's the machine, but
I don't think anyone beats us, bro. Honestly, like you said, he has to get put to sleep. And I think Ilya can put him out. Ilya can be the guy that can outbox him. You know what I mean? But anyway, Babu, we spent a lot of time on the co-main and main event, which is what I appreciate. It's like a lovely. So, all the members out there, please give us your take on what you think about what happens next for the fighters that took place in the main event and comment at 311. So we're gonna move it on to which I think is probably the fight of the night, and it should rightfully so have gotten performance of the night, which was the featured bout between the two former light heavyweight champions, JIRI Prochazka. He fought against Jamahal Hill, and this for me was by far fight of the night, even though they gave it to Merab Dvalishvili and Umar Nurmagomedov. I personally believe that this fight was really, really fireworks from the first round. Babu, give us your thoughts, bro, because if I start talking about this fight, I'm going to talk the whole day. That's how much I enjoyed it. So give us your thought on this title eliminator.
It was a fun fight. It was from the, like you said, from the first minute. I thought like, oh, like here we go. I thought it was gonna be more like both fighters who might have been a bit gun shy, but the intensity from the stare down before the fight even started showed that JIRI Prochazka, like you said, I'm coming. I'm there. I have a goal and I'm chasing it no matter what. I'm not really a big Jamahal Hill fan. I don't know. Like I got that. I was off the train as soon as he started like speaking about the Alex Pereira fight, and
salty.
Like he was saying like, oh, I was distracted type shits. Nobody, you just got put out left hook. It happens to everybody. Just take it on the chin. Say like, hey, good shot. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna make it. But then I was like off the train a little bit. JIRI Prochazka, I'm a big fan. He's such a weird person, an awkward person. And he just he has that dog in him. He has that dog, and you can see he will grind it out. He will try his best. He will always give 150%, like no matter what. So after I saw him drop Jamahal Hill in the first round, I was a bit surprised that like he couldn't really find an opening to hit that kill shot. Like I could see he was trying, but then like the way Jamahal Hill was just on the ground defending him, I was like, I'm not sure. You don't want to give like somebody like Jamahal Hill like that, like a second chance, a second life, basically.
Yeah.
And then as the fight progressed, I think Jamahal Hill just didn't game plan as well for JIRI Prochazka as well as Prochazka did for him, because it seemed like every time Jamahal Hill landed a kick, or like especially like he was trying to set JIRI up and JIRI just circled away, or either reset, or like he was just not playing Jamahal Hill's game. He was like, hey, we're gonna fight on my pace, on my time. When I engage, we will be there. And I think as the fight progressed, I think Prochazka became a little bit more reckless until like in the third, where I feel like he just said like, hey, like what happens, and he went in and you saw him get the KO. So I think that was his. I don't think that was the game plan, but I think like that's how much he just got frustrated that like Jamahal Hill wasn't going out. But I think that's the type of fights that he basically wins, like that reckless abandonment, like Justin Gaethje. Like I just have a bit more heart than what you have.
Yeah. I mean, I think Joe Rogan said the same thing. Joe Rogan said the same thing that you said, that it's almost like this recklessness, and it's a bit of like a explosion, like he explodes into movements and back in and out, and it does put him in the line of fire. I personally think like it's a controlled chaos kind of thing. I don't think he knows any other style but to fight that style. You watch his training regime and you watch how JIRI Prochazka goes through his camps. That's just how he is, bro. He just moves that way. It's just his style of fight. I mean, even when Jamahal was actually tagging him and landing some left straights on him, JIRI still didn't put the hands up. He did it. His hands were up for a lot of the large portions of the fight. But when they were in the void and they were in the line of fire, his hands came down immediately, and he had moved the whole time and then threw a move. You know, he didn't get in close and then stood like this and then we're gonna box here. His hands went down immediately. Which is why some of the people in the press, when they called him out on it, he took offense when people asked him about it. Which I think, okay, you can be offended by it, but also we also are watching the fight. Like you are there and you're doing it. But fighters also admit that sometimes when they're in the fight, they don't actually remember some of the stuff that they were doing. What's up?
I was watching Adesanya, his reaction to this fight, and he was saying that I don't think JIRI does it like instinctively, like the head movement. Like I think it's like instinct, and I think that I don't think he, like you said, like I don't think he knows that he does it. Like
yes, it's just what he does
in the fight, and it's like a defensive mechanism for him. Like
it's a
he
default
the way
setting,
he
man.
moves. Yeah, and I think that's
default.
why maybe he takes a bit of offense to it.
Yes, because now he's man. He was really trying to keep his hands up. It's something my coach told me to do. I'm really trying to do this, but because when you're in a fight or when anything you do in life, when you fall into a comfortable state, your body will go into a thing that just knows how to do on its own without you even trying. And that's just what he does without even trying. He trains that way. It's like breathing to him. If he doesn't fight that way, he probably loses the fight. If he doesn't fight like that, that's just his style. You know what I mean? I mean, when he fought Alex, he was trying to be a bit more careful with his striking. Even in that second fight, he was trying to be a bit more careful, and then he lost. You know, so I do think he must stick to this because it's just the way he fights. I am a little bit on the Jamahal train. I was never not a fan of him, even when he was salty and bitter about the Alex Pereira fight. To his defense in that fight, I would say it's not often that you do see fighters stopping the referee from refereeing the fight. That can throw you off. But you did also agree to continue the fight after the referee got stopped. So you were actually consciously aware and cognizant of what you were doing. It wasn't like you were rock or shooketh. You was the one who actually kicked Alex in the nuts. It wasn't the other way around. So Jamahal wasn't at all out of what was going on. He was completely aware of what was happening in that instincts. So as much as he was salty, there is a way that he can argue it, but also in the same breath, the other argument trumps his point of view. Like you lost the fight, bro. That's just what happened. You just have to accept it. I thought he made the fight competitive in the second round. I thought the first round he lost. Second round he made it competitive. He fought back. I mean, JIRI also said that maybe he felt that he was getting tagged too much in that second round. But in the third round, he just put the pace on. He has this thing where he's dancing and he's dancing and dancing. And there was a moment where the camera was on top of the octagon like this, panning around it like that. And in that moment, the camera did that. JIRI just darted forward after Jamahal. And in that moment, Jamal's eyes just lit up like that. And JIRI just went forward. It looked like one of the most frightening things you will ever see, bro. The way he just charged him. I was like, yo, this looks very scary because he's a big man also, man, JIRI. And what he did really well was Jamahal didn't know how to defend that straight left whenever JIRI would duck the shoulder and then Jamahal react and then he'll just come up with a straight and it'll just make Jamahal look like he was all kinds of busted up. And that was what the finishing sequence was about. You know, that beautiful slip, straight busted up Jamahal's nose, and then the right hook. I was like, perfect finish. I was quite impressed with JIRI Prochazka. So now, are you on the band camp of seeing JIRI Prochazka fight Alex Pereira for a third time? Or are you not on that? You're not kind of that kind of, because what's the next best fight for these two fighters?
I'm a fan of Prochazka, and I think that if Alex was not champion, I think he would still be champion.
Still be the champion, yeah.
I just think Alex he's just charmer both, man. Because in that second fight, if you watch the end sequence, like I think Prochazka lands on Alex, and Alex just says, like, your power is minuscule. I can walk you down. And I think like what I think it was with I think Alex fought the racket as well. It was one.
Didn't fight
I think it was the Prochazka fight. Yeah, it was the Prochazka fight. Like he tags Alex, and Alex. I think it was the first fight where he tags Alex and Alex just walks him down again. I don't think Prochazka has the power to trouble Alex, and I don't think he has the accuracy to match that of Alex. So, like, I wouldn't want to see it again, and he does deserve it after Alex fights.
I think so.
After Alex fights, he's Uncle Live, and I think Alex gets the job done. But I do think he deserves it. Do I see him winning that fight? Not really. I just think Alex is like the worst matchup for everybody in that division. He just charm a bolt. Yeah, I think Alex is one of the fighters that's like clear, and I think him and Makhachev, I would say, is clear of their division. Like they are the champions of that division, and like when you look down in their division, you're not really seeing too many like exciting fights for them. Like there is people that deserve the shot, and it would be a nice fight to watch, but you can't say really like, oh, they might like these. It's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah,
I think they just took everything in their favor, where it's like a 80-20 fight. Like the other fighter has 20% chance of winning the fight, but if the fight goes the way we think it will, it's done. They win.
yeah. I'm inclined to agree there. I think JIRI Prochazka has no choice but to probably wait for that fight to fight between the winner between Magomedov Ankalaev and Expeditor. As for Jamahal Hill, I think he can probably fight against a Jan Blachowicz or even a Rakic next, or even fight against the up and coming Carlos Umberg. That's a very good fight. Khalil Rountree is still in the mix. I also would like that. Even Carlos Umberg would be a very good fight to watch. But I think any one of those guys that I just mentioned now would be a very good fight for Jamal. Even Khalil, bro. Khalil Rountree was the only fighter other than Easy that actually knocked out Alex Pereira. But in the light heavyweight division, I think Khalil Rountree is the only person that actually showed the holes in Alex's game. Because I was screaming for it in that fight. Because Khalil Rountree is a Muay Thai fighter. And I was like, there's a way to beat Alex. And that way is to body kick him. You can't strike hand for hand because he outstrikes everybody. He's taller than everyone, but more reach than all the guys in that division. So you can't go in there and just use hands. You're going to lose against Alex. But if you can kick his body, because he doesn't defend his body very well. He defends his face and his legs. He kicks also very, very well. But if you kick his body, if you keep him in the body, and when Khalil Rountree did do that, he almost stopped Alex. Alex almost got stopped. I want you people actually noticed in that fight, when Khalil did kick him in the stomach, Alex went back to the cage, and there was a moment where he put his hands down, like he actually stopped moving, and he was like, he took a breath, and I was like, you see, that body kicks will fuck you up, bro. It'll put you out. I've seen our fighters fold to those body kicks, those tips. The taquero tip kick, you know, that thing where it just lands and you don't want to breathe after. You're like, I don't want to fight anymore. That's how you beat Alex. I'm telling you right now. I'm not a specialist, but I watch his fighters very closely and I look out to see where they look uncomfortable. And that's the only time he looked uncomfortable to me, was when he got kicked in the body like that. That's how you fight this
you
one.
just need strong legs, man. You need strong legs. You need to be able to take his leg kick as well as kick him. Because you can, if you have a solid offensive kicking game, and after like 3 kicks of Alex, like your offensive kicking game might just be like done. Because Izzy has a good kicking game, but his defensive, he doesn't check kicks well. And like it took 3 kicks from Alex, and then Izzy was like moving weird. And you say?
No, I was gonna say, and Alex struggles with southpaws. He does, because then he can't calf kick you.
Yeah.
So what he does is he throws. So then he throws high kicks.
I think Khalil just has good legs. Like he has solid legs. He's been training. He's a Muay Thai fighter, so his legs is strong enough to take that calf kicks as well as dish it out. And I think you on something here, Ross.
I'm telling you, I've noticed it. And even that fight against Khalil Rountree, Alex couldn't throw calf kicks because Khalil's a southpaw fighter. So watch it fight back, you will see you will throw inside leg kicks, which never really landed actually on him. So what Alex was doing a lot was just throwing a high kick. He would jab, he will throw a high kick, maybe throw a left hook, then throw a high kick again. But he was never attacking the calves because there was no target to be kicked there. It's a switch stance now. So I do believe that there are ways to beat Alex. No one else is using it. And Izzy and Khalil Rountree was the only 2 fighters that exposed that holes, but no one was implementing on it or capitalizing on these holes. So let's see what happens, bro. I'm excited to see the future. I think Alex is probably going to retire still champion. I don't think anyone's going to beat him unless he fights Strickers. But I think he's going to stay champion for the remainder of his career until he retires. Anyway, let's keep it moving. So we saw a bout that got shifted into the main card. This fight was scheduled to be on the preliminaries. It is Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida took on Sergey Spivak in the heavyweight division. This fight was for both these guys to continuously climb up their division. Let me see the rankings quickly. I think Jailton is number 7. If I'm not mistaken.
No, he's number 6. And then
number 6
is 7.
Yes. There we go. Interesting fight, because I honestly thought that Spivak was going to be the one that was going to win, because I thought that he was a bit more creative. He's younger. he can wrestle and he can strike, where Jailton Almeida can only really wrestle, to be quite honest. He's got a lot of power in his hands, but you never really see him use that because Jailton is just a predominant wrestler kind of guy. But to see him fight the way he fought and to see him shape up his body the way he shaped up, he's really transforming into a really good fighter so far in the UFC. Obviously, he had a bit of a slow start, but damn, that was a brutal performance from Jailton Almeida against Sergey Spivak. What do you think? What's your take on this fight, Babu? Because there's only one round. And also, what do you think is next for both these heavyweight prospects?
I think it was it was semi-competitive. It wasn't a dominant performance. I think Jailton came out looking good, and I feel like Spivak had his like moments, and then Jailton just brought it back to get the finish. I think it was a fun fight. I also thought Spivak would have probably. I thought he was just gonna grind it out. He was gonna get the decision win. Yeah. I didn't see Almeida getting the finish, but performance of the night, like, well done to him. What's next for either fighter? Very difficult. Very short division at the moment. Number 1 and 2, or champion is, I don't know if they active or not. You would want to think like Tom Aspinall is the champion of the division and he'll take on all comers, which I think that's his just MO. But like everybody ranked in that top 15, I think Tom Aspinall has a field day. He's just skill for skill better than everybody at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know that Jailton Almeida did call out Cyril Gane, which I do think should be the next fight for him, to be quite honest. Even Cyril Gane, it would have been Alexander Volkov, which I do think he deserves to actually fight against Tom Aspinall again, not Cyril Gane, because he beat Cyril Gane. That was a blatant robbery. There's Curtis Blades as well. So I do think the next best fight for Jailton Almeida would be between Curtis Blades, Sergey Pavlovich, or Cyril Gane. I do think the UFC needs to do right by Alexander Volkov and actually give him Tom Aspinall next, because John Jones is not probably going to take that fight. He's going to delay this whole thing. So I would rather just have him fight against Tom Aspinall next, so the division can keep moving, and let John Jones fucking retire, bro. He's gonna bomb this division by just stagnating it. I promise you, he's gonna stagnate it the whole time. So get rid of him. Let Tom Aspinall be the rightful champion. Let him defend that title against. Let John Jones retire as the GOAT. Let him retire as the GOAT, undefeated, never lost a fight. There you go. The best ever to do it. And then you can let the rest of the guys fight out the division. I know I will want to see him fight against Tom Aspinall, but it's just not going to happen. John Jones is not going to want to go out that way. So I would just say let Jailton Almeida take on one of the either Sergey Pavlovich or Cyril Gane. And then we have Sergey Spivak. Go back to the drawing board, I guess. And then see what happens next for him. He probably will fight against someone like what's his face, Curtis Blades, because he just came off a loss. So there'll be one of the probably that guy next. But anyway, we'll keep it moving probably quickly because we are approaching an hour. So we're gonna try and wrap it up nicely. We can move to the fight between Kevin Holland that took on Rania Darida in the middleweight division, and Kevin Holland got tapped out by the former 2 Division 1 championship fighter, Rania Darida. Completely took him down, mauled him, elbowed him, took his back, rear naked choke, sunk it up very easily, and he did what he said he was going to do. Whereas Kevin Holland, he definitely lost my support. He lost my take on him, my stake in him, because he was obviously being the guy. But when he came out, I remember I was calling for him to kind of like stick to a division and like go for a title charge. But then he came out and said, I don't want to fight for the title. I just want to fight for money. I just want to make up my fortune and then leave the sport. When he said that, I was like, well, I'll get this man out of here. Go fight in one championship rather than go fight in something else where that is your priority. Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of the guys in the UFC's priority is to become champion, because the championship status gives you all the fortune in the world. And for him to be such a good, talented fighter, to waste it on just money fights and not even going for a title fight, you just lose the respect for me. And I don't know if you share the same sentiment, because I remember when I asked Jed if he's going to bet on this fight, and he said, I don't want to bet on Kevin Holland again. He's just losing back to back. And his motivation is not in the right place for some reason. So I don't know if you share the same sentiment. What do you feel? How do you think this fight went? And what next?
I'm on the same. I'm a fan of Kevin Holland. I don't see a championship in his future, but that's just because like he said it, and like I just think like he's a Derek Lewis of this division. He's just here for fun fights, make money. I think there's a clear weakness to your game, and we saw Rene the Redder exploited. Take down. You don't want to train wrestling, man. Just say I don't want to train wrestling, but I want to fight MMA. Dates, we understand. We don't. You're gonna be the gatekeeper type fighter. Like we'll pay you gatekeeper type fighting money. Like you are not like you're not gonna fight any contenders that we might see stock in. If it's a young one coming up, we'll feed him to you. I think decent performance for Rene the Redder. Came out, did what he said, like you said. Got the job done. On to the next one. I think he's trying to not fast track his way into like the top 15, but I think he wants to get there as soon as possible. Becomes credentialed 2 division champion.
That's why they want to fast track him. I think they want to.
Yeah, I think so as well. Do I see him having a good time in that top 5? Not really, but I could see some exciting fights there as it stands from like 10 to 15. I think there's some competitive fights there for him. I think his stand-up lacks a bit, but maybe there's some evolution to it. In the coming days. So
we'll have to see. I mean, I followed his career quite closely in the One Championship, and I quite liked him in the One Championship. And one thing I did fault him on then was his striking was a bit strange. I was like, you don't look the most comfortable here. And I fear for that, especially when you look at that middleweight rankings.
Jesus.
I personally feel like he can actually beat a good amount of these guys. I think he will struggle against someone like Shara Bullet because of the movement. I think he'll beat Jack Manson. I think he'll lose to Anthony Hernandez. I think he can put up a competitive fight against Paulo Costa. He beats Roman Delice. I think he beats Brennan Allen. Jared Cannonier is 40 years old. I'm not so sure there if he still wants to fight in the UFC. Marvin Vettori hasn't fought in years. I don't know why he's still on the fucking roster. Get this man out of here. Caio Baralho upwards, I think he loses to all of them. I think Caio Baralho beats him. I think Nasruddin Mavov beats him. I think Robert Whittaker beats him. Khamzat beats him. Israel beats him. And Sean Strickland beats Renato Moicano. Dricus, who beat him so badly that he wants to find a whole different job, a whole new industry to work in. That's how bad he loses to Dricus. So I'm just like, but he beats some of the good guys. And why I'm saying all this, Babu, is because fighters like Jared Cannonier, Brennan Allen, Marvin Vettori, for me personally, that's dead weight. They should shred that out of the division already. Those guys are not progressing the division; they're actually holding it back. So I would say get rid of them. You know what I mean? And let's make some space for new guys, because we can't keep seeing fucking Paulo Costa, Roman Delice, Jared Cannonier, Anthony Hernandez, and Shara Bullet fighting 3-4 times in 1 year, and they only can go up by 1. They only go up by 1 ranking. What happened to the other guys? Why are they still there? They lost most of their fights in the last 2 fights. Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vettori, Jack Manson. These guys barely fought in the last 2 years, and when they did fight, they lost 2 times, 3 times in a row. Get rid of these oaks, my bro. Get rid of these guys. They're holding up the division. Get rid of them. And that's just my personal perspective. Let me know if that's what you guys think in the comments, please. Okay, Babu, our last recap we're going to be doing. Because there were other cool fights on the fight card as well, but this fight was the one that obviously had a lot of eyes on it, particularly because of the betting odds as well. I know in the parlay episode, I said don't bet on this fight. I think Peyton Tolbolt is the overwhelming favorite because they obviously put a lot of stock in him. He's super talented. He said they all of us, even myself, thought he was gonna win the fight, especially because Raoni Barcelos. You know, we've seen him before. Islam Makhachev got rid of him very, very quickly. I was like, I'm not too keen on Barcelos. And also the odds didn't make sense in terms of like favorable bets. But fortunately, for people who did bet on Raoni Barcelos, obviously got a big paycheck out of it because he went in there and he completely took away the rising star of Peyton Talbot, nullified him, taught him a lesson, and got the deserved win by unanimous decision. So I don't know what you think about it, Babu, because that was actually the first time I watched Peyton fight. Like I've seen some of the stuff, I've seen highlights on him before, but I didn't put too much stock into him just yet because I don't like to go too much to whenever there's a ref about something until I did enough research on it. And Peyton, seeing him fight this fight, I can see why there was a big roar about the guy. He's super fucking talented. But fighters like this have to go through a beating first before I can say, now is the time for this man to become the best. You know what I mean? Like when I spoke about the Ondash brothers in One Championship, I was like, I know they're good. They're obviously cut good, but I want to see them when they go through adversity. I want to see them actually get beaten first, because that's when the fighter needs to choose whether or not they're going to go and become a champion. This fight, Peyton needed something like this before he can decide to go on and become a champion. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. I watched the Talbot fight when he fought against Chad Simon.
Cameron Simon.
Yeah, sorry, Cameron Simon. Cameron Simon, I had stock in him. I thought him and Dricus moved into the UFC together. I saw Cameron go through Dana White's contender series. I was like, nah, this is the next South African guys. This is the one. And then I think Talbot put him out in the second, just brutal KO. So from then I was like, oh, yay, the Talbot guy, huh? He feeds my bloodthirsty appetite I do have. And I heard his name, and seeing the lead up to fight week, people were saying like, hey, this is a youngster, look out for him. Odds did not expect the odds to look like that. Shout out to Barcelos for doing the job, because they thought like, they didn't believe in us. They thought we were down. And he got the job done. And I thought he had a good showing. I thought he was the grittier fighter. Like you said, you want to see a young star that's been just starching everybody. You want to see him go up against somebody that you can't starch. And how do you respond in adversity? I think this was a good a lesson for Talbot. I think this loss was needed, because let's see how you come back. I want to see you game plan for more than just a KO. I want to see you put a full game plan together, not just either around 1 or 2 we're gonna start him and then we're gonna celebrate. What if I don't? How do I set up? How do I set up certain KO punches? How do I enter from different angles? So I think this loss, you might not look at it right now as a lesson. I think he will be disappointed, but coming back, I think the UFC can put a bit of stock in him. He's young blood for the featherweight division. I mean bantamweight. Sorry, for the bantamweight division. Add new blood in there. We just like we both agree, the champion currently at the bantamweight top of the mountain. He looks undefeatable. We don't see anybody that will be able to take his place. You have KO power. If you keep the KO streak alive, and you can put a solid run together, you could be the answer to the puzzle.
I believe it. To be honest with you, Babu, I do think he's got the perfect blueprint or almost module to do it. His body's got the good build for the bantamweight division. He's tall, he's fast, he's powerful. He's not scared of stuff. He can do the things. I just think he went up against someone that was way more experienced than him, out-wrestled him completely, knew how to take care of this boy. You know what I mean? Because when they were striking, when they were standing, Peyton was making Barcelos look but shooketh. Yeah, it made him almost panic shoot on him. So Peyton has definitely got that tools to become future champion in this division. I just don't think right now is his time. And that fight against Barcelos was the perfect time for him to go and learn and realize that there's levels to it. It's part of this game that you're going to have to obviously go and work on, because Merab is 1,000 times more relentless than Barcelos is when it comes to the wrestling. But I was not going to give you a chance to even get back up where Barcelos did. So, big fight for both of them. Massive win for Barcelos. Whoever bet on Barcelos in this fight, congratulations. You've obviously got a massive paycheck on that one. So Peyton Tolbolt, I actually am still excited to see him fight again next. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got for us in the future, especially now coming out from a loss like that. Anyway, Babu, that was the end of our recap. It's been a nice lengthy one. I appreciate it. The other fights in the fight card were also amazing. You guys can obviously go and check that all back out on UFC Fight Pass. The replays will be there. But that is our time. And what I also want to talk about quickly before I close it off for all the viewers out there, you won't be getting a One Championship Friday Fights 94 recap. Unfortunately, myself and the panel weren't able to capture the fight this weekend, or the fights this past weekend, because it was my birthday. We had a good birthday celebration over the entire week, so we kind of missed that. We took some time off. But what you can look forward to this week is One Championship's first pay-per-view of the year. It is 170 at Impact Arena, Bangkok, Thailand. We have Tawan Chai facing Super Bond for the second time. And this is a Muay Thai, if I'm not mistaken, championship bout. Let me just create it. Yeah, there we go. Featherweight Muay Thai world title, as well as Fabricio Andrade versus Kwon Woon 2, again, Bantamweight MMA world title. And then Nico Carrillo taking on Nabil Anane. This is a stack card. I'm not going to go through all of it, but that's just to give you a little taster of what you can expect this week. That's going to be this Friday, so we'll be doing our preview of that fight card during this week. Probably going to come out on Tuesday or Wednesday. Keep a lookout for that. Probably Wednesday, actually. Wednesday. Anyway, Babu, appreciate you as always, brother. Thank you for doing this. I look forward to doing the next one with you. For everyone else out there, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting and getting involved in all the cool nitty-gritty things like we've asked for. But you can catch myself in the panel when we do our preview for the next few fight card that's coming place this weekend. On that note, have a fantastic week. Stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll catch us on the next one. Cheers.